Good evening. Today marks the start of week 3 at the renovation here on Irish Street. I apologize if it's hard to hear me right now. I'm wearing a dust mask because I've been working for the past couple hours in this room, which might be one of the most unclean rooms in the house. There are mice droppings everywhere. It's amazing how invasive these mice have been. All the way up these, the framing, I found mice droppings on every level. I don't know how they got in there. All of these have been covered in paneling or drywall, and they got everywhere. It's quite remarkable and really gross. One of the worst spots has been this little cavity up here, which has some ductwork and a little cove for a light. When I took that drywall down, there was probably an inch or two of dust and dirt and mice droppings that would just fall down. Every time I rip a sheet out, I go upstairs for just a minute. I'm sure I could probably use a better mask than this. I'm ordering a respirator because this room has been really bad. But that being said, it's now ripped down to the studs and it's mostly been demoused. One of the next projects here is actually going to be a shop vac system, which is going to be a 5 horsepower shop vac on the bottom with a dust collection unit on top that you can buy from Home Depot. I'm really looking forward to going through all this basement and just sucking up dust. I'm not sure when I'm going to do that, but that is going to be a good day. Yesterday, on day 14, at the end of week 2 here, we started ripping out the little room that the furnace was in. So let's go take a look at that. Again, I apologize if it's hard to hear me. I want to wear this mask just to be a little bit more safe. And this furnace isn't exactly the most quiet furnace. But what I'd like to talk about is this area back here. You can see on the ground we've got like an old kind of tile. It's not ceramic, but this has been leaked on by, I presume the water heater, and this sink that was over here. The sink was in terrible repair. The cabinet had mice droppings in it. It was really unsteady. The entire thing was just disgusting. Also, this room was framed out with 2x2s and covered with 1/8 MDF paneling, and it's clear that there's been a lot of sitting water on the ground, either because of the sink or the floor drain that's over here or the hot water heater or all three. I don't know what, but there was mold, there was wood rot, and all the paneling was rotting on the bottom. It's really not a situation that I like to deal with, but we're getting it ripped out. Behind me again, you can see some piping. What we have going on here is the drain for the sink that was in here in the kitchen, and we also have the plumbing for the laundry, which is on the other side. It's going to be really nice to rip all of this out, start with fresh HVAC, start with fresh plumbing, and especially rip out this floor. A consideration was, do we keep the tile and put the new floor on top of it? But given how much decay we have in this area, it's definitely all going to come out. I'm going to look into treating the floor. If I do some kind of carpet or wood floor down here, you can see that where I'm standing, the glue still kind of is giving a chemical off-gassing smell, even after 50 years. And it's just kind of dirty. So although it'll be covered when we put whatever kind of floor down, I think I want it to be properly sealed as well. So I'm going to look into what the proper way to treat this is. But something I've been considering now is the kind of treatment you'll put down in a garage. It's like a paint, but I don't know, more durable, and it seals better. I think it might be a good idea to just seal this concrete and everything that's underneath it with some kind of, watertight seal coat before the wood flooring or the carpet goes down. Before I call it a wrap for the first night of week 3 here, let's go ahead and show you just kind of what the rest of the basement looks like here. Well, we'll give you one more angle for it tonight. You can get a sense of kind of what needs to be done yet. Most of what's behind me is ripped out, which is nice. Holes for the ceilings. We've got a little bit of ceiling and edge work and the 2 bedrooms and bathroom behind you. That's going to take a bit of work, but a few more nights and we're going to be down to the studs in the basement as well, which means the only thing left is floors and ceilings down here, floors and ceilings upstairs. Good evening. It's Sunday, which is day 19, I think day 19, maybe 20, of the renovation here on Iris Street. We've been doing a lot of work in the basement this week and particularly this weekend. In front of me, you can see a new project I've been working on. It's a dust hopper. Right now, it's just the vacuum hooked up to this dust hopper, but I've been working on an apparatus that will sit on top of it and the dust collector will sit up here and it'll all be mobile on the casters. That's coming soon. I should have it done in a day or 2. But in the meantime, you can see we have essentially all the walls out in the basement down here. Off screen, we even have the walls off between the furnace area and what was previously the laundry room. So there's not much left upstairs. All that's left is a bathroom, and downstairs all that's left is this bathroom and a tiny bit of this closet in the 2nd bedroom. What I'm going to do next is start dropping these ceilings. These will be the first ceilings I'm dropping in the house, so without further ado, let's get cracking on some ceilings. Well, we're going to call it a day. Today was day 19 of our renovation here on Iris Street, and it's Sunday, so the end of a weekend. We have 2 days left for week 3 of renovation, and today we got most of the drywall ripped out of the basement. The only drywall that's remaining on the walls is, of course, the bathroom and the kitchen area, but we got all the bedrooms, everything else, and the drywall between the washer-dryer area and the furnaces. So today was also the first day I dropped the ceiling. I dropped the ceiling in one of the bedrooms, and I think this is something that's I'm just gonna get better at the more I do it. I tried going, through each little channel for a while. That worked okay, but what seemed to work the best was just taking my big yellow breaker bar and kind of gently just kind of pulling down, and I could loosen entire sheets. I think that's gonna be the way to go. It's a little bit to get it started, but once you get started, you can usually get the whole sheet off, and sometimes, if you're really lucky, a little bit of the next sheet, so you can just kind of keep going. When I was working in this corner over here tonight, I found my first inside of the beams I found a kit for for copying fingerprints, or making fingerprints, I should say, as well as, I thought I hit a duct or something because it was rattling, but turns out I found a couple of different types of BBs. these copperhead BBs, and I thought these were shotgun shells at first, but it's Quicksilver BBs, and zinc and copper, and I don't really know whether they were the floorboards. There was one fingerprint kit and about 3 of each of these, and that was the only thing in the floorboards. Maybe we'll find money in one of these other ones, or who knows what we'll find. But it was a good weekend. We're gonna call it a day, and we'll see you next time.
Good evening. It's the 20th day here on Iris Street, a Monday, and I don't have much to show for today's work, but what I've been doing tonight is getting the shop to a state where it's more of a shop. Again, there's a lot of work to be done, and as I get a table saw and get more serious woodworking equipment, the shop will really take hold. Some things I'd like to do with the shop down the road is put canister lights in and maybe a little bit of LED cove lighting around the edges. I also want to have some pegboard on the walls for tool storage, and I'd also like to frame out the wall so I can run proper outlets and probably just outlets through the walls, and maybe even get a little bit of insulation. So there's some work I still have to do. The garage is far from done, but I have a little bit better shop tonight, and let me show you some of the things I did. These sawhorses here are made out of scrap 2x4 that I had laying around, as well as some of the furring strips that were attaching the drywall to the concrete. They're not amazing, but they're cheap, and well, they cost me nothing, and now I have a couple of bit of workbenches. This door here is going to be a nice top. It's really, really heavy. I think this is a solid core door. So I'm hoping, although, the surface is pretty marred, it's not good as a door. It's a good, cheap work surface. Also, it's the same height as this chop saw here. So for ripping longer pieces of material to length, it's going to be really handy. I'd also like to point out this dust collection system that I made over the last couple of days. This is a pretty standard DIY dust separator that you can get with parts from Home Depot. The basic components are this 5 horsepower, 12-gallon rigid wet dry shop vac, and this dust collector, dust separator system that you can also buy at the shop that hooks to a 5-gallon bucket. And what I'm finding is that it works quite well actually, but with all this gypsum dust from the drywall, you really do still get a little bit of material down in the vacuum. So I haven't installed these yet, but I picked up a couple of baggies. They're like $10 a bag, but I think with this dust separator and a bag down there, it'll hardly fill up with dust, just a tiny little bit, but what it's really going to do a nice job of is keeping the air filter clean, which is the whole point of this dust separator system. So I'm looking forward to getting to use this more, both for cleaning the house as well as hooking up to power tools. I don't have a full-on shop, dust collection system with all the ducting. I might not ever do that, this is a small shop, it's a 1-car garage, but what's going to be nice is having this guy on wheels and being able to wheel it around and hook it up to whatever I need, as well as just wheel it around and clean up the shop. So in some ways, I think it might actually be a little bit nicer than a full-on, dust collection system for a shop when you probably need a shop vac for cleanup stuff anyways. It's not as convenient, but I think it'll be a pretty good system. Last but not least, you can see the shelving up here is already filling up with, I shouldn't say junk, but stuff, and I'm trying to stay organized as I go. Right here, we have a workstation with a single extension cord and then some of the tools over here. And I'm just kind of organizing and rearranging the layout as I go. Obviously, when I get a table saw, I'll have to fit that in somewhere. So anyways, I've talked enough about the shop. I literally didn't do anything else tonight, just pulled nails out of boards, made some stuff for the shop, got the whole dust collector system built and up and running, which also utilizes some scrap plywood from the basement that I just cut out, sanded, routed, and anyways, trying to do as much DIY as I go, and I think the shop is really going to be, start becoming a nice place to build things in. So we're going to call it a night.